Hi, it's Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Today's question was a comment made in response to the video that I posted about radical feminism. And the question is, you're working on a book, Raging Feminist Version of Mein Kampf. I really appreciate this question. And to those of you who are wondering, I really like getting questions that appear to be trolly on the surface, meaning they're negative, derogatory, because I do think it's important not only to engage with people who agree with you and are looking for the comments you're giving and the lessons that you're giving, but to really start a cross-cultural dialogue within the United States about, especially people who have vastly different opinions about religion, racism, about what it means to be an American. I think that all those conversations are very important, and I'm really glad that I'm starting a few. So, for those of you who do not know, Mein Kampf is Hitler's book. It's the book that Hitler wrote justifying his white supremacy and why he thought that it was okay to treat people who he considered lesser worse, and why he really thought that people who were like him were better. So, no, I am absolutely not writing a raging feminist version of Mein Kampf. In fact, if I were to write a book, it would be the opposite. And this phenomenon happens a lot where people insult by calling things the opposite of what they are. And I'm sure some of you have noticed this in the news that so often the attacks that are made, especially right now, I see it, I'm conservative to liberal, and if other people are seeing it elsewhere, please bring it up. But it is so very often for people to, are common for people to insult with what they're doing as opposed to what you're doing. And the insults tend to say more about the person who's making the insult. So, I mean, it's just getting so very blatant when you see that, things in the media that where, politicians are standing up and saying that person is fascist. And meanwhile, they're adopting fascist policies or saying, socialism is bad, but then they're giving money to the people that supporting farm interests, military stuff. They're just doing their version. Calling. People calling people on the left fascist is hilarious to me. It's hilarious because it's so not true. It's also terrifying. It's also really scary, but it's so not true. So, basic lesson here in fascism, all right? So, Hitler is the most famous example of a fascist, but fascism as a socio-political theory. When you're talking about political philosophy, so for those of you who can't see the video, who are listening to the podcast, I've got my hands up here with my right hand representing fascism and my left hand representing the opposite of fascism, which is a full democracy where everyone votes on everything. And these are purely philosophical in their end states. So in a truly fascist government, all decisions would be made by the supreme dictator. So every king and queen that has ever lived has been on the more fascist side of this spectrum. And then full democracy, we've never actually seen that in practice to my knowledge. So a full democracy would be everybody votes on everything. Clearly very impractical. And what we purport to have, what we say we have in the United States, is a representative democracy, which is kind of, a quarter of the way in between the center and full democracy. Right. So it's maybe actually center, depending on how you look at it. But it's on the spectrum. This is a spectrum of things. So fascism truly is a consolidating control in the few, trusting the few to make the decisions over the many. And this is what Hitler did. And also just want to throw in here that communism is often associated with fascism. When communism, in fact, is an economic theory, socialism is an economic theory, and there's a totally different spectrum scale for economics that, meaning how our economy works, that goes from full open capitalism, no safety nets, no one gives anything to anybody, dog eat dog kind of, everybody goes for themselves kind of world when it comes to resources, and full communism, which would be everyone shares everything, no one owns anything, and everyone works to contribute based on their ability and receives based on their need from the communal whole. And that theory doesn't actually say who regulates or is in control of that at all. So the reason why we equate communism to fascism so much is that there were some fascist dictators like Stalin and now, Putin, who used systems of communism, or, like the words, the trappings, the ideas of communism to take control and become fascist dictators. So I do think it's important we untangle these things and we separate them out, because there are some scary parallels right now between what's going on in American politics and what happened in Germany before Hitler came to power, in the years when Hitler was in fact coming to power. We see a dismantling of social structures. We see hate and a rise of racism and a rise of hate culture. And that is definitely happening right now. We see politicians being valued based on their machismo, based on their male power, the protection of the weak, even though it's completely not true. And then those same people oppressing the weak. I mean, just look at what's happening with people of color right now, and especially people who look like they might be of Mexican descent or, Hispanic. They don't even have to be, and they're getting asked for their papers to prove that they're citizens. It's really, really gross to see what's going on now, and scary, frankly, for me. It's scary to see the ways that our world right now is kind of mimicking this kind of situation. It's also scary to me that things like throwing out Mein Kampf and a comment, that's becoming more and more normal. So these casual references to things that are flat out white supremacist are becoming a part of our casual language again, and becoming something that is where people aren't even necessarily understanding that what they're saying is harkening back to full-on white supremacy. So yeah, a bit far afield of this question, but just a good opportunity to remind everybody that knowing sociopolitics, understanding economic systems, political systems, and really looking back at history can really shine some light on where we are right now. And when somebody is saying very loudly that the other side is doing something, like, so when someone's saying very loudly, like, oh, the liberals are fascists, maybe take a look and see if the people who are saying that are actually the ones who are doing it. I just, it's not always, but it's surprising how often that is the case. So, yeah, just my thoughts on that topic. And, short answer to the question, no, I am not writing a radical feminist version of Mein Kampf, and Hitler can go fuck himself. And thank you very much for your question. I am Leela, the proud poly kinky slut. I hope you have a great day, and remember, you can ask me anything.